So good morning, all of you. So respected principal, Professor P.C. Agarwal ji. So respected nodal officer, Lakshminder Behera. Today, the expert, the panelist, Professor C. Jangaya ji, Professor Sudeshna Lahiri madam, all the faculty members from the institute, the audience, the research scholars, the faculty members across the country. At the outset, I welcome all of you to this panel discussion. The topic of the panel discussion is very, very important. It is very relevant for the present time. The topic is the future of education in the context of Sustainable Development Goal 4. As all you know that India is signatory of UN. So UN members in 2015 decided 17 sustainable development goals. So out of these 17 sustainable goals, the goal 4 is related to education. So which aims to achieve inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning for all. So in this background, today we will be discussing on the strategy of teaching, the role of teacher, the assessment, the school administration, keeping in mind these sustainable goals and also the present changing scenario. So in this context, let me introduce the chairman of this panel discussion, Professor P.C. Agarwal. So Professor Agarwal is man of physics, who is one of the excellent teacher. So Professor Agarwal is presently the principal, RI Bhubaneswar. So under his leadership, RI Bhubaneswar becomes one of the best RIs among all RIs in the country. So we are proud of him, his contribution, his dedication to the cause of education, to the cause of teacher education, to the cause of institution. So I introduce him as an institutional builder. So he has developed RI Bhubaneswar into excellent campus, and the people those who visited RI campus, I think they might have seen not only the institutional builder, one of the really intellectual who has interest in different fields. So of course, man of physics, but when he start about something history, so I feel that he's a man of history. So such a versatile person, knowledgeable person. We are really thankful you, sir, for your guidance or for organizing this event, the panel discussion. And with us today, the two eminent speakers, two eminent professor of education. Let me introduce first Professor C. Jangaya. So Professor Jangaya retired from English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. So one of the very affectionate teachers, because he was my colleague in RI Mysore. So from the Mysore days, I can say that very affectionate, very lovable teacher among the students. One of the very, very good human being. Sir, thank you very much. So for joining us in this panel discussion. And now we have a second panel, Professor Sudeshna Lahiri, presently heading the Department of Education, University of Calcutta. She is the Fulbright scholar, having a versatile interest in education, has a quite different areas of interest in writing, in research, in teaching. So, Madam, I welcome you. I also thank you. With a short notice, you have agreed to be with us, share your views on future of education. And my colleague, Professor Lakshmidhar Behera, the presently head Department of Education. So he is also the nodal officer, G20, RI Bhubaneswar. So he is looking after all the G20 activities of the institute. I also welcome him. I welcome all my colleagues, all the heads of department from the institute, the scholars, the faculty members from different parts of the country. So thank you all of you. With this background, now let me request our principal, Professor Agural sir, for his opening remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you. Very good morning to one and all. And I actually welcome Professor Jangaiya ji from IFLU, Hyderabad, and Madam Professor Sudeshna Lahiri, Head Department of Education, Calcutta. Both of them, they consented to be panelists on this very important topic that Professor Ramakant ji told, future of education in the context of SDG4. I appreciate the efforts of Ramakant Mohalik ji for organizing this webinar, and Professor Lakshmidhar Behera ji, Head Department of Education, for coordinating all such activities as nodal officer. Professor Mohalik ji has identified this topic, which is very relevant today. Actually, when we talk about global citizens, then SDGs are important, and even NEP 2020 highlights SDG 4.0, which talks about inclusive and equitable quality education. Education should become an equalizer. There should not be any disparity gap. We should bridge all the gaps. That type of education must be there. No one is less, no one is high. That type of education we expect. At the same time, we expect that everyone should become part of education system. No one should be left out. So inclusive education means this is right for every child to get education. And this NEP or this Indian system is not now only talking about school education or school children education, but it talks also about adult education, about technical education, about vocational education, about all types of education. So inclusive mean that all should be included, whether adult, whether technocrat, whether vocational artifact, whether craftsman, whoever he is, from community, from society, from different domains of the country should become part. Everyone should become part of education. That's why we talk about lifelong learning also. Learning is not confined to only schools, only colleges, only universities, but we want that there should be lifelong learning. And this SDG 4.0 has given us a way how to proceed, and NEP 2020 is actually enabling us to fulfill, to achieve SDG 4.0. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So there was some disturbance. I request all others to just mute their mics. So when we talk about new pedagogical structure 3+3+4, then it is highlighted even in NEP that 5 is an equalizer, and it will be ensured in grade 3 that if foundational literacy and numeracy is not attained by students, then there will be a special bridge type of course so that they will achieve that minimum level, so that their further education, higher education, school education will have equal footing. Equal opportunities must be for all. And this NEP is ensuring us that after proper implementation, we can achieve this. And even dropout, we can arrest, because one of the reasons of dropout may be that the education system is not in tune with the learners. There is a gap. Either pedagogy we can talk about, or we can talk about infrastructure, or we can talk about teachers, whatever it is, we have to bridge that gap. Only then everyone will move ahead till at least class 8th, or even to the entire school education till class 12th. Because when we see the reports, survey reports, we find that dropout is very high, especially at terminating classes of these stages, for example, 5th, for example, 8th, 10th, 12th. So if you want that a learner should be a lifelong learner, then at least school education, everyone should complete it, and that will just give a sustainable development. So this NEP is talking about early childhood care and education. That's why, so that foundational stage becomes strong, so that they will not feel uneasy in later stage, and they will have all the skills which are basic skills which are required for communication, for numeracy, as well as we want that our learners, especially in Indian context, when I talk, should become 21st century skilled learners. They should be employable. Rather, they should be able to provide jobs to others. They should not act like job seekers. So we talk about entrepreneurs, we talk about incubation centers in higher education, we talk about innovative hubs, we talk about hub and spoke model in context of school complexes. If skill labs are not available in all the schools, then wherever there are skill labs, we can go through hub and spoke model. We can provide that lab facility to in and around learners. So we want to ensure that every learner should get opportunity to learn.
Welcome to MC Music World. Bluetooth mode connected.
So we want that our intention is that everyone should get equal opportunity, should not be any barrier, whether it is language barrier, whether it is infrastructure barrier. This NEP even talks about barrier-free education. Whatever barrier is there, we have to remove that barrier. So access is talked about even after 1986 policy, even after 2005 curriculum framework. Access we have increased. We have increased all other things, but at the same time, we have diluted quality. So this talks about quality also. And we don't want that our learners should be just bearing knowledge only and should not be able to apply that knowledge. So this policy even talks about that in addition to cognitive aspects, cognitive domain, psychomotor and affective aspects should also be given due emphasis. And that's why we talk now about competencies, outcome-based competencies, skill competencies. That's why we talk about that there is no silos. There should not be any silos. There should not be any boundaries between academic stream and vocational stream. Vocational stream should be well integrated with academic stream, so that learners, they become competent, confident, well-rounded personality, with well-equipped with 21st century skills, and not to who just satisfy the local needs. Even we talk about global citizens. They should be competent, confident at global level. They should be able to lead the globe. We want that type of learner, and that's why the future of education is very bright. And we have envisioned this type of future education. So the role of teachers, teacher educators, all the community members, even everyone is very, very important. Even Professor Ramakant Malikji was talking about that we have to think about curriculum, about pedagogy, about administration, about infrastructure, all the dimensions, if we want to ensure that SDG 4.0, 4.0 is attained and everyone has equal opportunity without any barrier. And we should have educational system ready for everyone. So inclusive education, we also talk about this. NEP even is highlighting that what do we mean by inclusive education. Inclusive education doesn't mean only that this should be compatible with differently able persons, but with even gifted children also. Everyone should have scope to move ahead in this education system. No one should feel that this education system is not fit for, is not suitable for any learner. The learner should feel encouraged, motivated, inspired. And that's why we talk that learner should attain not only knowledge, but skills, attitude, aptitude, and should be able to dispose of the things. Disposition, we talk about many things in NEP. I'll not take much time. And actually, I'm sorry to both of the panelists that we had scheduled an interview and I have to leave in between, but I wanted to attend this entire program. And hopefully I will be able to listen you wherever I'll be there. So this topic is very relevant, very important, we all know, and the institute is very thankful, grateful to both the panelists that they gave their consent, and our students, our participants, teachers, teacher educators, colleagues will get benefit from their deliberations, from sharing of their ideas, and actually mutually we have to evolve our vision. And that's why such type of discussions are always fruitful, because everyone has unique perception, everyone has unique way of presentation, and everyone has unique type of aspirations. So when we come across all such things together, definitely our vision is built, and our objective is being teachers, being teacher educators, to achieve the target laid down by SDG 4.0, which is signed by our government. Unless we join efforts of the government, I think alone will not be able to bring the radical change in the real field. And rather, my thinking is that teachers and teacher educators are the only capable persons. They can bring the desired change. Since we are working in the system, we know that what type of deficiencies we have, where we are lacking, why we are not able to give equal opportunities to teach to everyone, why education system is not an equalizer, opportunity equalizer for all, and how it can serve the purpose for everyone's requirement, everyone's need, everyone's aspirations, even whether it is vocational, whatever it is. That's why much has been described about flexibility in every field, whether choice of subjects, whether multiple exit, multiple out, whether the accumulation of credits for further enhancement, whether shifting of one subject to other subject at any time. All such flexibilities are talked. Why? Because in any stage when learner thinks that that learner is not able to advance himself, herself, the way he or she wanted, then there is an opportunity. Now the system is not rigid, and teachers are now given autonomy also. We are talking that curriculum should be reduced so that it is burden free, and more opportunities are given to learners, to teachers, to implement their ideas, to make learners competent, to make learners creative, problem solver, good thinker, critical thinker, like all these things. So unless we reduce down the teaching load, such opportunities will not be possible. So we have to reduce curriculum that way, and at the same time, pedagogy talks us that we should move away from rote memorization. Students should have enough scope to apply in synchronization, head, heart, and hand. Hands are given more importance now. So this way, new opportunities, new avenues are with us, and how we can bring such radical changes with our efforts, I think deliberations will give insight on that. So with these words, once again, I thank each one of you, especially to the panelists, Professor Ramakant Mohalikji, Professor Lakshmindar Behraji, all my colleagues, all the participants, and my students. Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir. or for your beautiful and very comprehensive opening remarks. Sir, I quote you one of your line that you said, the future of education is very bright. And I am also agree to your point, because if we implement the National Education Policy 2020 in right spirit, so then the future of Indian education will be very bright. It will be comparable to other nations, the most both developing and developed countries. So with this, sir, I thank you from my heart for your beautiful opening remarks. So without making a delay, now I request Professor C. Jangaya sir for his comment and views. Please, sir.
Thank you, Ramakantji, and I thank everybody who is participating. Today's topic, that is Sustainable Development Goal 4. The Goal 4 framework on education continues to address the unfinished agenda of the Millennium Development Goals, while the scope of MDG, that's the Millennium Goals, was limited to certain aspects such as enrollment. But SDG4 provides a wider canvas and focus on the issues of quality and equitable education, apart from emphasizing on aspects such as education environment, learning outcomes, skill development, education needs of women, disabled and vulnerable children. The SDG4 thus recognizes the value of dignity and human rights for all, and envisages the scenario wherein every person is guaranteed access to universal rights and basic opportunities. The aim of SDG4 is to attain equitable and quality education through convergence of multiple strategies and partnerships from NGOs. The National Education Policy 2020 of India is in the line with the SDG4 and hold the belief that equal access to education is the basis for sustainable development, and try to align SDG4 targets into NEP 2020. The World Education Forum 2015 was organized by UNESCO together with UNICEF, the World Bank, UNFPA, UNDP, UN Women, UNSCR in Incheon, Republic of Korea. Over 1,600 participants from 160 countries, including over 120 ministers, heads, ministers of delegation, heads of agencies and officials of multilateral and bilateral organizations, and representatives of civil society, the teaching profession, youth, and the private sector adopted the Incheon Declaration for Education 2030, which sets out a new vision for education for the next 15 years. Education 2030 Incheon Declaration, under the banner towards inclusive and equitable quality education, lifelong learning for all. In fact, it is a vision for education, access to all, inclusion and equity, gender equality, quality, lifelong learning opportunities. And there has been a comprehensive plan for implementing the common goals were set to achieve by 2030. How? And the goals and targets and indicators have been mentioned. As far as the 7 goals are concerned, to ensure all girls and boys complete free, equitable, quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. To ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development care and pre-primary education, so that they get ready for the primary education as such. Goal number 3, to ensure equal access for all women and men, affordable and quality technical, vocational and tertiary education, including university. The fourth goal, to substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical, vocational skills for employment and decent jobs and entrepreneurship. Goal fifth, to eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of education and vocational training for the vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, indigenous people, and children in vulnerable situations. Goal number 6, to ensure that all youth and substantial proportion of the adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. Goal 7, to ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge, skills to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development, sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and non-violence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development. I just highlight the last goal at the end, and SDG G4 human impact stories from across the global are plenty. I would like to mention a few of them, such as artificial intelligence, ensuring human rights at the heart of the goals, the management of natural resources and international trade center supports rural youth with waste collection, the management and tricycles to improve waste collection as a system, etc., etc. The theme of, actually here I want to just highlight the theme of India's presidency, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, which global interconnections reflects India's pro-planet approach. It indicates that it indicates that India will seek to strengthen global interconnectedness, build upon the merits of the connectedness, and find innovative solutions and cope with the results of any challenge. As the new G20 chair, India inherits the responsibility of steering selection action for restoring global economic and financial stability in the aftermath of the pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. The food and fuel crisis triggered by the conflict are only worsening. India's presidency will have to prioritize the formulation of a robust strategy for a recovery of economic growth and recalibrate the action plan for the achieving the 2030 SDG agenda. Here, the role of, that's what, in this connection, involvement of non-government organizations in education is imperative, not only to attain education goals and targets, but also to engage in meaningful action. This is possible only when the SDG4 vision is translated into a reality. A kind of perfect partnership between government and non-government organizations, increasing and in creating awareness generation, implement various programs, capacity building, monitoring, etc., etc. The interventions of NGOs have proved vital during COVID-19. And let us just recollect as far as the highlights of new National Education Policy, National Policy on Education 2020, wherein they have just emphasized the multilingualism, because India is a multilingual country. And multilingualism in the power of language, just let us discuss to some extent the science of child development and Language acquisition suggests young children become literate in learn best through their local language, the language spoken at home. Children between the ages of 2 and 8 years also have an extremely flexible capacity to learn multiple languages. So you have to start from there, which is a crucial social capacity that must be harnessed in addition to the well-established cognitive benefits of multilingualism. In addition to continuation of implementing of the three-language formula, it is observed and understood that multilingualism is a necessity of India because India is a multilingual society. Children learn languages extremely quickly when immersed early, and multilingual children in studies around the world have also been found to learn faster, better, and they are placed better in later in life than those who are unilingual. A multilingual India is better, but educated and better nationally integrated. Moreover, India's languages are some of the richest, most scientific, and more expressive in the world, with a huge body of ancient as well as modern literature that help from India's national identity.
Free
At
primary
the time of, at the time of At the same time, we should not forget that English has gained a prominent place in Indian society. English has become a part of life, and thus Indian education has emerged, and we are used to it, and for our academic and professional careers. And now, just personally, I am interested in highlighting certain, what to say, Indianness, that's what Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that's what it is mentioned. And as far as real sustainable development is possible when we sustain culture orientation. Culture is the best expression of a nation's soul, and every nation has its own distinctive expression. It is chauvinistic for any person to think that the culture of his own nation is greater than that of any other country. Rome stood for politics, Greece for art, Egypt for pyramids, and India for eternal values, that to spiritual values. That's why India is considered as a spiritual superpower. India lives today in spite of visible degeneration and depravity in its political and social life because these spiritual and cultural values are still kept alive in the national consciousness. The cultural heritage of India is a multifaceted diamond representing a bewildering diversity of thought and an infinite variety of forms. To be frank enough, we have to highlight the fact that universality is the chief glory of Indian culture. History has not been able to trace its origin, hence it is called Anadi, beginningless. It has always been in existence and it shows no sign of death. Hence, it, it is spoken of. It is spoken of that it is as considered as Sanatana, eternal. So, endless also. Therefore, we teachers and teach educators have to orient our younger generations about culture time and again in every, what can say, subject, directly or indirectly. This cultural flavor have to be inbuilt and embedded. Thus, it is culture which at once ancient and modern, humanistic and scientific. There is a there is little that is narrow and parochial in it. From time immemorial, Indians call their culture Manava Dharma, Manava Sanskriti, human culture. Arnold Toynbee, the great historian, said, at this supremely dangerous moment in human history, the only way of salvation for mankind is in an Indian way. Here we have the attitude, the spirit that can make it possible for human race to grow into a single family, and that is what Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And in this academic age, this is the only alternative to destroying ourselves. We have we have to preserve our culture in the context of SDG4 in order to protect our future generations, their future, bright futures, and golden, what to say, career they can just carry on. The prime objective of education is to transform into value education, directly or indirectly, because I consider all education in a sense is value education. That's why certain value flavor we have to embed, instill in every subject, including mathematics, science, or whatever it is. We have to indirectly, the background should be value orientation. Whatever the highest, what was the level of, what was the peaks, the sciences, engineering, technology, the artificial intelligence, etc., have been emerging like anything. We should instill value flavor in all our educational planning, preparing, and performing. This is what I think it is a need of the hour, and I didn't want to take much time because Professor Mohalik was telling it is 15 minutes. I think I have taken 15 minutes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you have given a very detailed idea about Sustainable Development Goal 4. At the same time, you have highlighted the main goal of G20 or India G20 presidency is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So when the G20 presidency talks about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, I think this is not only the future of India, this is the future of the globe. I think you also highlighted that this is not, education is not to, develop the skills and develop the economic power only. So the essence of education is the value education. I think you believe in the value education. You say the main purpose of education is the value education. In the future, we should orient our students. We should orient the future teachers. So how to transform, how to develop the value perspective, how to transact the cultural heritage of our country. So I think if you can do that, the value education, the cultural education, so then I think we can have a bright future, and definitely India will have a bright future. So for this, you have also highlighted that. So we should work together. We should means the government should work, government and both NGOs and all the stakeholders, starting with the teachers, teacher educator, the parents, even the student, the civil society. Everybody should work together for our future education and to realize the goal of SDG4 to fulfill the equitable, inclusive, quality, and lifelong education. Sir, thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much. So with this, now I request the next panelist, Professor Sudeshna Lahiri. I think, Madam, you can express your views on the SDG, and then in terms of SDG, how we can fulfill the SDG through the education, the future of education. Your opinion, Madam, please.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to Professor Agrawal and Professor Janghia and Professor Mohalik and Professor Lakshmidhar Behra. Thank you so much, and all the participants from all over India who have joined in YouTube as well as in this Zoom meeting to attend this G20 webinar, which is to focus and to highlight and to explore the future of education under SDG 4. So I will pick up the lines from Professor Janghia, who has very well picked up that verses from Veda, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So I will pick up that's Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam from there. That is how citizenship education in India started since ancient times, and which is now the part of SDG4. So it is that I am Bandhur Yaneti Garna Lagu Chetasam Udar Charitanam Tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So it means that the person is mine and this is one is not, is made only by the narrow-minded, that is the ignorant who are in duality. So I am Bandhur Yaneti Garna Lagu Chetasam. So this Lagu Chetasam is the person who thinks that this person is mine and this one is not. Similarly, the next line from the verses is Udar Charitanam Tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and means that for those noble conduct, that is, who know the supreme truth, the whole world is one family, one unit. So the Kutumbakam is the quality of a man who understood the truth transcending the multiplicity of the world. So that is how the SDG4 goal we are talking about. So Education 2030 Agenda and the Framework for Action, Target 4.7 of Sustainable Development Goals, SDG4 on education, that has been signed in 2015. And it says that to ensure that all learners are provided with the knowledge and skills to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and non-violence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity, and of culture's contribution to sustainable development. So if I pick up the very term global citizenship, which is the core of this SDG4, and which imbibes the other elements of this SDG4, that is sustainable development, sustainable lifestyles, and that is how human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and non-violence, and appreciation of cultural diversity and of culture's contribution to sustainable development. So global citizenship is actually working as the pivot, which is connecting all these elements, the integral part of the education as well as the society and a nation. And it makes the any student of higher education or the school education a global citizen. So when we perceive the future of education as per SDG4, we need to understand that it is not only to prepare our students for overseas campuses, but also to prepare our campuses for overseas students. So it is the two-way mobility. So in one hand, we are preparing our students in our campus so that they can survive, they can compete, they can sustain themselves in any of the country wherever they go to seek education from there, best of the education from there. But also we are preparing not only through infrastructure, good infrastructure, but also human resource. Like as academicians, we also need to prepare ourselves so that we can be accommodative to the students who are coming from overseas. We can accommodate them. We can quench their knowledge. We can quench their interest for the knowledge. and we can also foster them for their home country as well. When they go back to their home country, they can take a vast pool of knowledge from our campus and our country and our nation. So this is how we can perceive our future as per SDG4. And this is the sustainable lifestyle and sustainable development, where we not only we are preserving our knowledge, what we have received from our predecessors, but also we are passing on that knowledge with more knowledge which we have acquired through research and our insight to our successor. And that is how the lineage of passing on of the knowledge goes on without any pipeline leakage. So that is how we can perceive through SDG4 how knowledge and education can be made available to every section of the society. Not only that, but also it should be available without discriminating caste, creed, and society and gender, and to across all over the world. So if we can globalize ourselves and we can make ourselves available in digital platform, we should also attract students from overseas to our physical campuses as well, because those students are not only coming for sharing our knowledge, but also they are bringing their culture to us, so that we can also see and watch, and we can live up to their practices. So how they practice their rituals, their religion, their belief, and we can share. For example, India is a multi-ethnic country, multilingual country, and I don't know how we have already assimilated many of the festivals in our culture, and that is how the culture is built up. What we say culture, through mingling with different people in the society, different students in the campuses, and that is how in a campus, in a classroom, in a hostel, in a playground, students exchange their practices, belief, and faith, and they themselves do not know when they have already picked up those beliefs and practices from other religions, caste, and cultures. And this should not be only at the local level, but also it should be from domestic level, nationally, and also from global level. So we have to prepare our campus as per SDG4, not only for overseas students, but also for the students coming from different states and locality to our campus. We all have different campuses. We are employed in different campuses. We are studying in different campuses, but we have to prepare our campus to be accommodative to other students from other part of the India, as well as from other part of the globe. And also we have to prepare ourselves and our students for other universities, all those students to other universities who are going to seek more knowledge from that campus. For example, if in our campus, if they have been offered graduation, they may be seeking more knowledge from other campus, maybe from other part of the world or India. So we should be preparing them to go there, to be adjusted, to be accommodated to their culture, and to be ready to share their culture. And that is how the exchange of culture will be there. And not only so, it will make a student not only a citizen of India, but also a citizen of this big global village. And that is how we are Vasudha Kutumbakam, where we all are from the same family and we are one unit. So when we say that the UGC has very successfully launched a booklet, that is Educational Framework for Global Citizenship in Higher Education. So that higher education can also take the courses, like students from higher education can take this course, and they can make themselves prepare for other part of the world and country. So why global citizenship education, which is in SDG4, and also UGC is also proposed to offer, that is to enable young people to develop the core competencies which allow them to actively engage with the world and help to make it a more just and sustainable place. Grounds learning in this course will ground learning in practical life situations, creates a culture of global knowledge about other societies, thus instilling the tolerance, which is very important, and challenging inequality, which is also very important, that we should understand equality and equity, two different things, and we should be very wisely choose where the inequality holds and where the equity holds. And also this course will emphasize the importance of individual and collective power and creates a sense of social responsibility. So how this can be offered in different campuses, so that we can be the part of global world, we can be the part of the globe, we can be a good citizen of India, where we should be tolerant to other caste, creed, and society, and the part of other caste, creed, and society. So how can we do it? So this is a concept, this is an issue, this is a concern which needs research, a deep probe research should be needed, and the experiment where the laboratory will be our classrooms, where we can experiment the pedagogies which can be effective in making our students and preparing our students for tomorrow's world. So with this, Professor Mohalik, I give a halt to my words, and over to you, sir.
So thank you very much, madam. You are really enlightened the audience about the global citizenship, which is one of the very important component of sustainable development goal. So not only that, we are not in school education, but also in higher education. We are now discussing about how to promote the global citizenship. I think you have highlighted, you have discussed the concept of global citizenship. You have also discussed how the different higher education institutions and UGC can promote the global citizenship. And further, you also talk about, like, the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the heart of the like, the G20 India presidency, and the heart of the Indian cultures. So with this, so now I request the audience or the participant, anybody, if you want to raise any issue, any question, you please write in the chat box. You write in the chat box. We have only another 5 minutes. You write in the chat box if you have any valuable question, valuable point, then I can forward to the panelists. They can clarify. So by this time, so let me summarize what we discussed so far. I think the discussion, the opening remarks, Professor Pishu Agrawal, the Principal RI Bhubaneswar, has given a very good beginning. So he highlighted the important recommendation of the National Education Policy, which are relevant for the future education, because we all know that the future of education, when I say future of education, we are targeting at least 2030 or 2040 like, what kind of education is relevant not for our country, but for the entire world. So in a futuristic term, we are thinking now, what will be the education in 2030, 2040, something like that. So I want to tell you here that our country, entire globe is passing through a very, very technological transformation. Now technology has been dominated every aspect of our life. So maybe technology has many positive contribution, positive direction, and it has also some of the negative impacts that also impacted our future education. So therefore, like, somewhere we have to think on the use of technology, and mostly the disruptive technology, mostly the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, and the chat GPT. What will be its role in the future education? Then Professor Jangia, sir, he highlighted our future of education should be like the value education, the cultural education, and he also highlighted one of the very, very important point that is very relevant and reflected in the national education policy, the multilingualism. So now at present in India, we are so much interested to English, the language of English, or the English as a medium of instruction, but our future of education will be like education through regional languages, education through mother tongues. I think that is the future of education that Professor Jangia has highlighted. And finally, Madam has highlighted, clarified, and discussed the global citizenship, which is the heart of education discussion now. So with this background, if you see any question, chat box, please show me the chat box. Okay, there are two questions I can see here. So it is open to both the panelists. So the first question, Dr. Priti Kumari is asking a question: how to create ethics in students for future education? Number one. And the second question is, how quality education can be improved in perspective of sustainable development goal 4. I have two questions. Please, I request, please mute yourself. The first question I forward to Professor C. Jangia: how to create ethics in students for future education. And the second question is, how quality education can be improved in perspective of sustainable development goal 4. Now, please, Professor Jangia, sir.
Thank you very much. And in my opinion, as far as my experience is concerned, I was always trying to embed, that's what I was telling, include or add some value flavor to my subject. Whatever the subject, I have dealt with foundations of education, research, methodology, now ELE, English language, or ELT, English teaching, etc. at EFLU. And we have to just try to add value flavor. That's what I was highlighting. Ethics starts from home. Our parents are our this thing. All these examples we have to just discuss with students and come to, but it is a reciprocation between teacher and student. A dialogue should take place directly or indirectly, or 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes of 45 to 50 minutes duration of our class. You have to discuss whatever the subject, even with science subjects and all those mathematics, technology, engineering, etc., etc. Agriculture, okay, this is also, without that there is no life, and all those significant areas when we are dealing with, we have to try, and it depends upon the ambience the background of the learners accordingly, relevantly, appropriately. We have to make certain examples and highlight and orient and reorient our younger generation so that our culture, our Indianness, our tradition is sustained along with technological, what to say, development, industrial technology development. As time passes, previously India was agrarian society. Then Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, and others have just introduced and gave importance to industry. So industrial society, agrarian society, industrial society. Now it is information society. So we have to consider all this, not at the cost of what can say taking the diverse and diverse from value orientation. So that's why it is the parents, the teachers, the social, elders in the society, certain eminent personalities. Always you have to follow their footpath, and you have to orient that way. You have to reorient and motivate them enough as far as their idea is concerned, their background is concerned, their aspirations are concerned, without what can say disturbing and without what can say taking their consent, as far as we should not impose our cultural orientation forcefully. So you have to make them, get them ready to accept the realities. The life is very short and very long. If you consider very long also, but fruitful life will be very short and meaningful. For meaningful, education is the instrument because I consider education makes a man human. So human element we should not forego at any cost. If we are able to instill this much in our students during our teaching of any subject, so we can just sustain our Indianness and tradition, spirituality, whatnot, everything, eternal values, etc., etc.
Sir,
Hello.
thank you, sir. Sir, thank you very much. But
Thank
only
you.
one point I want to, repeat, like you said, very good point. The ethics, that is something start from the home.
Yeah.
So, the teacher is only not the partner to develop the ethics, and in fact, teacher cannot develop alone. So, it is the development of ethics, morality, values. It is a shared responsibility of the parents, the teachers, even our society, and nowadays the technology and media also. So, thank you very much, sir. Now, Madam Professor Lahiri.
So, I wish to say that values are not taught, they are taught. So it's not always like everything surrounding us is our teacher. It's not only the formal setting of a school or higher education, but also our playground and our family and our kids and kins. They all play a very important role in forming the values. So when we say the value, it is the some practices, some behaviors we used to model or we used to learn or we used to actually implement in our day-to-day life. So it is not only the awareness of the values, but also when we practice it. For example, honesty is a good policy. We know it. We learn it from different places. But when we practice this, then it becomes a value. So it is how any educational institution or education can be instrumental to forming values among students. So it is very simple that when every one of us aware, we have flexibility to learn, make the student flexible enough to learn. So when they are open to ideas, we have to prepare them to open to ideas. Secondly, which is very important, to learn a value, to inculcate the value, is to raise question, inquisitiveness among themselves. Their mind should always raise the queries why it is so. It is not only to just to learn by heart that honesty is a good policy, but to know, to question why it is a good policy. When they question it, they will find answer from their surroundings, from their family, from their kids and kins, peer and playground. And then they will understand that why honesty is a good policy. So that is how the values are taught. They are not taught. So mere repeating a sentence will not form a value or inculcate value among students. So for future education, it is very important that please make students to ask question, to raise query in their mind. When they will ask question, they will try to know the answer. And any answer, any scientific answer lead them to the truth. And the truth is that they will understand what is value and they will imbibe those values in their daily life, in practices and belief. So that is how I understand that the role of a teacher and any educational institution is not to snub them when they are asking question, but to encourage them to ask question. So that is how I perceive. Thank you.
So thank you, madam. I think you have given a very practical examples. So how these values can be developed among the students. So for me, I agree with you, madam. Like the flexibility in our approach. As a parent, we should be flexible. As a teacher, as an educational administrator, we should be flexible, and we should allow the child to explore. We should allow the child to know, because you now at this age when social media is dominating our life, we cannot make anything secret. The child will know. If you say you don't want to say, but the child will find a way and to know about it. So therefore it is better. So I think better you explain as a parent, as a teacher, you explain it. I think that should be our approach, flexible approach we should take up so that we can develop. So before I conclude, I should tell you the one point that emerged from this panel discussion is that so our future of education should be based on values of India, because India is known for its cultural heritage, known for its value system. So therefore, our entire education system should be based on value. Our purpose should be development of value education. If you have a positive values, all the good values, I think automatically other thing will happen. Now we should also think of how indigenous values, how the indigenous knowledge system can be implemented in our country or in our education, not in our education, even across the globe. I think that is the one point that emerged. So I thank all of you. So before we close the session, I request the Professor Lakshmidhar Behera, the Nodal Officer G20, for a formal vote of thanks. Please.
Thank you, Professor Mahalik. So esteemed Principal Professor P.C. Agrawal, our esteemed resource persons and panelists, Professor Jangia, Professor Sudeshna Lahiri ma'am. So all the faculty members, dean and faculty members, all the students and all the participants of this program. So almost 1 hour we have discussion on this issue. So I have been asked to present the vote of thanks. So at first I thank our principal sir, Professor P.C. Agrawal, for his comprehensive opening remarks on this particular issue. I thank both the panelists, Professor Jangia, so for presenting very nicely about this particular issue on SDG4, and you have rightly mentioned about some of the emerging issues, starting from the policy issues to the perfect partnership between NGOs and government organizations, and the role of the transaction process. And as very rightly you have mentioned about the need of the hour is how to promote the Indianness, the value system of the country, which was also highlighted by the moderator, Professor Mahalik also. So I thank Professor Sudeshna Lahiri Madam. So while Professor Jangia has focused more on the school education part and some of the aspects related to teacher education and multilingualism issues, Professor Lahiri, you have mentioned about the role of digital learning and how there will be collaboration between institutions for promoting global citizenship. The global citizenship is the need of the hour. Thank you very much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. Thank you very much, Professor Jangia, for accepting our invitation and presenting your views and perspectives here. I thank the ICT team. I thank all the faculty members. I thank all the participants, those who have joined this program. And yes, there are many takeaways from this program. So this will be helpful for quality improvement of school education, teacher education, as well as higher education in the country. Thank you all for attending in this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank all of you,
Thank you.
Professor Jangia sir and Madam Sudeshna Lahiri, all of you, all the audience, all the research scholars, all my faculty. With a short notice, I am really happy that so many of you have joined. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we close the panel discussion here. Thank you.